That makes sense. It's like having an identity crisis. Only you're not, and it's not your fault. You know? You know, if I was anybody else, if I had been taken by any other family or whatever, I would be probably reunited with my family by now. You know? I'm just getting more soda, man. Okay. But like, think about all the kids that have been found and the people that have been found that have been missing. And FBI does, helps and find them and shit. But then there's me who I can't, and I gotta do it all on my own. If they would do their fucking job, I wouldn't have to go over there to do the goddamn DNA test. It would have been done long before now. But, I gotta go over there. I'm glad I'm going over there. I haven't, can't say I've never been there. You know what I mean? But I've always been drawn to England and UK and really, like, one of the places I've always been drawn to other than, like, England, and that is Ireland. For some reason. Yes. I still have to get, I guess I have to have an EA something or other I gotta get still, so I'm gonna get that when I get paid. But yeah, I got my passport. But in order to enter the UK and that, you have to have a specific thing on, Otherwise, unless I have, but then once prove who I am, say I'm Patrice, we prove it, I'll have a British passport then, and I could go back and forth. Won't have to worry about the little thing I gotta get for now. But yeah. I have my passport. I just gotta do a couple things before I go over there. Like, make sure I have all the money to get there and have a place to stay while I'm there. And because I'm not sure what's going to happen when I get there. So, but yeah, I'm on disability, so I'm on a fixed income, and I do school. I also do school, so I'm doing my best to come up with the money to do it. But that's one reason I did the GoFundMe, because I'm hoping it'll help raise the money so where I can get there quicker. You know what I mean? That's my plan. That's what I want. I appreciate that, hon. Happy New Year. I know it's going to happen. This is my year. I know this is my year. It's just, gotta wait patiently. I know it'll happen, and I know everything's going to happen the way it's supposed to. I just gotta go with the flow of shit. So my plan is to have the surgery before I ever go, because that gives me more time to get the money together too, and then I won't have to have surgery. I won't have to worry about the whole getting a doctor and everything to do the surgery after I'm there too. But depending on what my doctor tells me on the 13th will be whether or not I have surgery here before I leave. Because I'm going to ask, are you going to prescribe me something to take home for pain after surgery? If he says Tylenol or anything like that, the stupid shit like that, I will not have the surgery. I will wait till I get over there and deal with it till as long as I need to. Because I'm not going to have major surgery, take this fucking thing out of my body, and you're going to give me Tylenol. You're on something if you think that. So, about 10 years ago, I was misdiagnosed with gastroparesis, and so I have a stimulator in my stomach that I never needed. Because what I really have is diverticulitis, and it was just found out. I was misdiagnosed. And I was also being poisoned at the time, so that's why I was so sick, too. And when it started, was the symptoms and everything, me getting sick and everything, it started. See, I got together with not my last ex, but the one before him. I met him on Plenty of Fish, stupidly, and spent some time with him, and that was in October. And then when I went back, he insisted on cooking and everything, didn't want me to cook. But it was like November 2nd. I was able to eat whatever I wanted. I was 276 pounds, okay? Then all of a sudden, I sit down, he brings me my food. I take 3 bites, I feel like I've been to all-you-can-eat buffet. And then hours later, I was getting sick, and then it just progressively got worse. And I was crawling back and forth from the bathroom to the bedroom. That's how bad it was. Plus, you put on top of all the medications I was prescribed that I never needed to be on, too. Oh, yeah. So was the woman I grew up with, who adopted me in 1990. I grew up knowing her as my aunt, and then she adopted me. And who I thought was my brother. I gotta prove it. How am I gonna prove it? It's been 10 years. And it didn't start, he didn't start doing that until after he met Lennon and Ralph. People will do anything for money. I am finding out now that I evidently have a lot of old fractures that never healed properly, most likely from childhood. Just a lot of shit. I think he was paid probably $800 to... He did it for $800. $800 to $1,000. And the reason I know this is because he came home. I was at his house. This was probably around April of 2016, around tax time or whatever, and it had been raining out. And he walked to go get something to drink. When he comes back, he has this envelope of cash, and he's like, "Look, babe, look what I found on the ground." Mind you, it had been raining. The streets were wet. There were puddles. Raining. The envelope and cash were both dry. And he said he found it when he was walking back to the house. Yeah. See, all my relationships were either set up before I got together with them, or they would meet them and offer them money to keep me under control or whatnot. And that ex used to be a pest control person, and he was still able to get the chemicals because he would go and spray his friends' houses. And I would go with him. There was no smell, no odor, no nothing. So if there's no odor, chances are there's no taste to it either. And he kept it in the thing in the kitchen instead of putting it in the back bedroom. I also, how I compare pictures, right? We take this picture. This is the girl in the red dress. They said it to me clearly, but let's see. Nope. So if this is me, right? My daughters would look like me then, right? Because my oldest looks just like me. Only she has darker skin. They don't look like... My daughters don't look like this. Be it. So who is this? And the child has a normal thumb. No. But when I say hell. It would have been about 3 here, okay? According to ChatGPT, which would have been probably 1983 it would have been taken. So I'm going to do something. I want you to tell me which child I would probably be most likely be me. Once I find the goddamn... Oh, here it is. That's me. Which one? Do I look like that one? Or Catrice? Nope. This is not me. It's been proven it's not me. Nice try, though. I'm curious. Very, very curious. Which one's this one? From that family. From that family that said they were my family. That I grew up knowing as my family. Supposedly me. Chances are that's a boy. By the way, this child has red hair and blue eyes. No mole. You know what's going to happen when I do that? Right here is this child's right hand. The thumb is normal. Mine isn't. I'm showing a picture of a child's thumb. TikTok. Chill the fuck out. God, that's too dark. It's Catrice. She has the same thumb I do. There's a mole. She has a birthmark on the lower right side of her spine, right above her bottom. That looks like a rash, is what it says. Right here is my birthmark. It's kind of hard to see, but let me see if I can. I didn't know until October 28th, 2024. But I knew something was off because right there is my birthmark. On my right side, above my bottom. Same spot. I remember the day I was taken. I remember the first memory I have ever being with that family. I was running away and got up to the elementary school when Linda caught up to me. Got me in the car before I could get to the doors, took me back to the house while beating me on the way back to the fucking house. Got me in the house. They continued. The next memory I have is waking up and I was in the shower with the man I grew up knowing as my uncle. Only a couple seconds of a memory of that. And then after that, I couldn't stop urinating. It was confirmed by 2 law enforcement agents I'm not Heather. 2 people in that cult that I'm not Heather. One of those people I've known for over 20 years did not know he was part of that cult, but also that's a whole nother, he's in supposedly one of the agencies for the United States government. But he confirmed I was abducted and trafficked. Because I'm in the fucking book! And he has the book. So, he said I was in fact abducted and trafficked, but he didn't know what my actual name was. And all I'm going to do is prove who I actually am so I can use my real identity and be reunited with my family. And I get roadblock after roadblock after roadblock and have to do everything myself to prove who I actually am. The reason I can't get help, I'm going to show you exactly why I can't get help from law enforcement. That's Stella Hayden. They called her, that was the famous whistling lady in Iowa or Moline, Illinois, something like that. Elders, what group do you think they're part of? Oh, yeah. Mahasin Cauldron, Daughters of Mokana, Alta Aryan. Eastern Star. "12 free and accepted Masons on the face of this earth." That's Alta. I called her great grandma. They called her Grandmother Hayden. Matter of fact, Alta, Grandmother Hayden. John, Jack, and Carol. 1957. Same letter. Something told me to take it when I left. Alta is a descendant of John and Priscilla Alden. Just gonna read it a little bit. "Knowing your background and assuming some things about you and Jack, I feel quite sure that you would agree with Graham and myself and others in our family that we would take the liberal views towards matters such as these. In other words, we would want to be inclusive rather than exclusive. A good place to find out such information is to get a hold of a yearbook from our international conventions, and the international convention takes place every August 16th or 17th, where they do horrific things to children. I remember. And Alta and Howard sacrificed their firstborn Billy, by the way. That's Alta and Howard. This was written by a Reverend Kenneth Hayden, who was Alta's nephew. Talks about, this is about cooperative churches and cooperative churches. Divinity School. Yeah. It's a very cryptic letter. Not only that, it's a copy. Now, why would he have to type up 2 letters to make one a copy? But wait, there's more. The suspect doesn't look just like Carol. No. Ironically. Let me give you a... This is who I was believed that I grew up knowing as my biological mother. And this child, I'm not sure who this child is, but that was supposedly me too. Just like another picture I have where they said it was me, but the child is has a lot of birth defects and most likely And these people are done joining this thing that they think, oh, we live forever, and this, no, the fuck you don't. Just like this child. Supposedly me. Just because it says December 80, that's when it was printed off, not when it was taken. See, this is Joan and Jack. And this, well, they say it was me, right? Now, if you look, the arm, there's the hand right there. She's not holding the hand. There's a hand right there. It's above her hand. And then this arm here, and then there's been people who said something about the leg might have been missing or something wrong with the leg. The ear, if you look, is like, god damn it, focus, bitch. Okay, if you look right here where the ear is, where it goes like dips, and right there on the eye is looks like a bruise, and the mouth looks like it's a bit small. This child has a lot of birth defects. After doing some research, I found some records where it states that Sue was on public assistance in 1972 and 1973. Why would a child who's 13 years old be on public assistance, except unless she's pregnant? This could have been taken in 1973-74 and not printed off until 1980. Yeah, I'm wondering that too. How do you find this funny, Lori? Loving your cats? I'm curious how you find this funny. You think it's funny that this baby might be unalived. So, Lori, loving my cats. Question: Who asked you to come in here? Yeah. Are you talking about the babies? Yeah, this supposedly me. This one. Now, the one in the red dress. There were other pictures of this child. Unfortunately, because of the accident, I lost everything in the car. Now, there were Polaroids of this child. And in all the Polaroids, there weren't many pictures of this child. But it was all around this age. They were wearing a yellow sleeper and a blue baseball hat. Jack's blue baseball hat. I think this is the boy. I think this child here is also this child here. Now, what happened to this boy? But here's the kicker. There were also Polaroids of that baby wearing a dress. Like Polaroids of the baby wearing a dress, and the baby was always sleeping. In every picture, the baby's always sleeping. So if it's not the same child, and the fact that she was pregnant most likely in 1972 when she was 13. Is the child or children still alive? Or would they be found in a well with a bunch of other bones for children, belonging to children? Joan told me that there was an old church. Behind the old church, there was an old well, supposedly a Catholic church, where it was dug up and they found all these baby bones down at the bottom. And supposedly the nuns would get pregnant by the priest and then have the babies and then dump the babies down the well. If you're ever invited to a dinner by the Masons, Eastern Star, anything like that, like spaghetti, chili, any type of dinner whatsoever, kindly decline unless you have an appetite like Jeffrey Dahmer. They use a very special kind of meat, like I said. I remember a lot of things they did to other children. I also remember being kept in a cage. Things like that. And I'm not going to stop till these monsters are taken down and pay for fucking what they fucking did to me and all the others too. There is one picture I wish I still had, because this specific picture is of Sue sitting on a bed upstairs at Alton Howard Arian's house. And there was a child in the bed with her, sitting on the bed with her. I wish I had that picture, because that would tell me who that child is. Because it's not the child in the red dress, and it wasn't me. but I think it might have been Tanya. There's only one picture of that child, and I don't have it. And I don't know if I had it and I lost it in the accident, or if Linda has it. I have the adopted birth certificate. I've never seen the original, and when I've called to get the original because I can, I never get a call back. I can't get a straight answer. And the judge that approved the adoption for Linda and Ralph to adopt me and Sue's son, if that is her son, was the same judge that married Linda and Ralph. And at the time, we were living in Indiana, and we went all the way back to Iowa to be adopted. I don't remember Sue ever being pregnant. That's the thing. I know. I narrowed it down. It was 1986 when I was on Romper Room. And I know this because I had the glasses. Brad was supposedly born in August of 1986. But if that's the case, that doesn't make sense. Well, yeah, she would have had him by Halloween, because, But I don't remember her ever being pregnant. I remember 3 Halloweens. One I was Minnie Mouse, one I dressed up as a hobo, and one I dressed up as a gypsy. So, 86, 87, and 88. Those are the 3 Halloweens I remember. So I'm going to take a shot in the dark and say I probably escaped, because it had to have been before Jack had his surgery, and I don't know when he had his surgery. Probably 1985. No, that wouldn't make sense. He could have still had it in 1986. I don't know how to find out when he had it, and they would lie to me anyway. But I know that I had to have escaped before he ever had that surgery. So I had to have escaped and ran probably, and I remember it was warm, so it could have been spring of 1985. Or fall of 1986, or fall of 1984. And my whole life I thought I had brown hair with natural red highlights and blue eyes. I was made to believe, and I saw in the mirror, when I looked in the mirror, that I had blue eyes and brown hair with natural red highlights. How the fuck did it, you know what? I'll know exactly what year it was here in a minute. Because Jack's father died it was shortly before he died that I escaped. It was that year. John Shade Stacy Sr. obituary, Long Beach, California.
John Shade Stacy, who lived from 1896 to 1984, died in Long Beach, California, on August 8, 1984, at the age of 88. He was buried in Westminster Memorial Park. While details are limited, he was likely a notable figure in Long Beach.
1984. I vaguely remember they said something about him dying. And what's even weirder, it was like after I escaped, they were very in a hurry to take a family photo, professionally done. So, in that case, 1984, I would have been 5. This was in 1983. This was definitely 1983. And after between this picture being taken and that picture, I was wearing a sailor dress. I think they tried to dress me younger because they made me a year younger. I remember I was wearing a sailor dress. I don't know. I think I might have been wearing glasses too. No, it's not. It's just a professional picture. With the zip code 18810 on the back of it, and at the top, the number 6776. Like a catalog, an item out of a catalog. So no, that's not a school picture. It's just a professional picture. I'm just, it's been so long and everything that's happened, I'm just so tired of waiting. I don't want to go so badly. But I know it'll happen when it's meant to. It just sucks having to wait, you know? But it is what it is. So, but I think I might end this because I'm gonna try and eat something and watch my favorite program. Again. I love Mrs. Brown's Boys. I can't help that. It's my favorite show. And I've watched it all the way through twice now. I've watched the whole series all the way through twice. And I've started it again. So, anywho, I hope y'all have a great night. a great day, whatever time it is where you're at, and until next time, I will see y'all later. Have a good night, guys. Good day. You get the drift. See y'all later. Night.